from home. How you doing, Whoop?
What is with this energy?
Hey, I'm good. I am as I was yesterday. I'm hanging in there. And even though there are some pretty scary headlines out there right now, U.S. coronavirus cases are just shy of 10,000. Europe just surpassed China in fatalities. And in Italy, 475 people passed yesterday. So with all that going on, we do know that lots of people who have gotten it have gotten better from it, but we're not nearly where we need to be. How are you guys handling all this anxiety?
Sarah?
I'm cooking. I've pretty much morphed into Martha Stewart. I can't promise the quality, but I've claimed that I'm a domestic goddess. I just never had the opportunity. So
Yeah.
we are making a lot of foods. Like I was making chilies and soups because you can always freeze half of it and
That's true.
keep it for later. So I'm just kind of toying around with cookbooks and trying to get the kids involved, and that's pretty much.
I know people have been asking me why I'm not so anxious, because I'm not, and I'm generally very risk averse, as everybody knows,
Oh,
right?
no bueno.
No bueno. I'm very risk averse. No
You live
roller
with your
coasters for
mom.
me.
Yeah.
And I live with my mom, and so I'm a little concerned about her. But I was reading this article on CNBC, and they were saying that the Gen X folks, the latchkey generation, which is my generation, typically are not that anxious because we are sandwiched between taking care of the older generation, like my mom, and also taking care of our own children. And we've lived through the AIDS crisis. We lived through the 2008 crash. We've lived through Katrina. And we're sort of used to being in this space and having to make do. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm concerned, of course, and I'm nervous, but I'm taking care of my kids and managing their anxiety. And I'm taking care of my mom and managing her anxiety. And I almost feel like I don't have time to worry about myself.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at. And I have a menagerie of animals at home. So I'm buying chicken feed and taking care of my dogs and my bees.
And the bees.
And my bees. I gave you honey today.
Thank you very much. I have a jar of honey.
Yes, so that's what I'm doing.
What about you, Megan?
I've just been trying to lead by example, and I come here, and ABC's been kind enough to give us all private cars, so we're not taking public transport, and then I'm just going directly home. My husband wouldn't even let me go to the grocery store. He wanted to go by himself. We're trying to reach out to neighbors, especially elderly neighbors, if they need any help getting any supplies. Trying to figure out, one of the big things that I'm obsessed with right now is why our hospitals aren't having enough masks for our hospital workers. And I wanted to say on the show today, anyone that had hoarded hospital masks, there are nurses and doctors that need them right now and are having to wear them in multiple shifts, and you can donate. I was actually messaging with Bethany Frankel about her charity, Be Strong, that is putting together coronavirus kits. I was actually just messaging with my senator from Arizona, Senator Sinema. I'm going to try and come up with something to do in the next few days, because I have to feel more proactive than just sitting in my apartment. And these people who are going to hospitals, putting their lives on the line, putting their health at risk, janitors, people at grocery stores, I mean, I really can't complain about being here when there's so many people that are doing so much worse. But I have a lot of anxiety. I've been doing a lot of Instagram lives, FaceTiming with friends, and just trying to find a way to be more proactive than just sitting around and sort of let it happen to us.
Yeah, and I think
if it's possible, maybe I'm just giving myself an illusion of control.
That definitely will help anxiety, I think.
No, you're not. It's what you should, it's what you should be doing. It's what we all should be doing, because here's the truth of the matter. Many people will get sick. Many people will recover. So knowing that, we don't have to sit around thinking doom and gloom for ourselves. We can become proactive. If you're a good sewer, then start sewing some masks.
That's what people are saying, by the way,
that we can do.
That's good to do if you can sew, to donate hospital masks. I can't sew, but it's one of the options they're saying could work.
If we take this into our hands, it will feel less like we're out there alone, even though we're isolating. And, yesterday, who signed a relief package that includes paid sick leave for hourly workers and free coronavirus testing. He's also invoking the Defense Production Act, which gives him power to direct civilian businesses to meet orders necessary for national defense. Here's how he's framed it, his coronavirus response yesterday. Take a look.
The big thing we did was a very early stoppage of people coming in who could be very, very heavily infected. That was a very good move, and it was very early, very, very early, when most people, including a lot of professionals, they didn't want us to do it. That really saved a lot of lives. And yeah, I look at it, I view it as in a sense, a wartime president. I mean, that's what we're fighting. I mean, it's a very tough situation.
I mean, he's right to call this a war, is he not?
I agree. I think calling it, I want this to be taken with the severity and concern it deserves. And honestly, the generation, we're seeing a lot of young people that aren't taking this seriously, but I tend to think the generation at risk, not necessarily in cities, but spread out across the country, maybe aren't taking this as seriously either. And yet the word war, they understand. So if we need to call it war also with the solution, I really agreed with Biden's suggestion of getting the military involved with their expertise, with their resources. So if I'm consistently saying we need that type of response, I don't care what he calls it, it just needs to be taken seriously.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
I don't know.
Do you think it's possible that we have to have his people do the same thing? Because, you know, Rand Paul and several other folks were holding this up like it wasn't really a big deal. Don't we have to get everybody on board with the fact that this is not a joke? Young people, senators, congress people who are still sort of hedging their bets. Doesn't he also need to get them into shape?
Well, I do feel like recently, you know, you have the Senate passing this bill, this relief bill, the stimulus bill. I think people are at a point now where they're realizing the severity of the situation. But I am very uncomfortable with this president saying that he is a wartime president, because in my view, last week he said he wouldn't take any responsibility for the significant delay in the country's coronavirus testing capabilities. And you have a president who is notorious for being a draft dodger when it came to Vietnam, and, you know, getting these bone spur deferments. And so to sort of try to reframe his legacy when it comes to the coronavirus response as a wartime president, I'm very uncomfortable with, because wartime presidents take responsibility for their failures, and he has been unwilling to do that. I mean, if you look at any video of his responses from January up until even now, I think there's been a lack of leadership.
But
and
legacies are determined over
give
time. I don't think he can write his own legacy right now. So I don't think the language is determining legacies. We always say when someone's being judged by their performance, wait, give it a decade or so.
I think language matters. I think it's very important. I think his language matters. I think he tries to you know, use language, and he uses language very effectively, and I refuse to allow him.
But we haven't had him. The problem we've all
president.
criticized is that the administration didn't act fast enough or strong enough. Now we have him using strong language, and I will get behind any language if people start listening, because I am not waiting for politicians to tell me. I'm waiting for doctors and scientists, and right now, whatever the politicians do is secondary. But if it means that he is saying stronger things and people are more scared and more cautious about what they're doing out and about, then I can get on board.
I think
right now people need to take this very seriously.
I think he's the liar in chief, and I will refuse to give him the moniker of a wartime president. He doesn't deserve that.
I don't think it's about what he deserves or not. I think it's the realities of the world we're living in. And right now, there's almost 10,000 cases, 150 deaths, 222,000 cases worldwide. I mean, the U.S. Navy is sending a floating hospital here to New York for the cases that are coming. And I think if you go by war, by deaths that are happening, we're going to surpass 9/11. So I think I agree with Sarah in the sense that I don't really care at this point what it takes to get people alert. You're seeing videos coming out of Florida of spring breakers partying and clearly not listening to the news or their parents. I think I just read that DeSantis is just now going to quarantine Florida, but people have not been paying attention to this. I mean, there are people that work at this show that aren't paying attention to this, that are still comfortable going out, doing things, and I think we are at a time of complete crisis. And I wish people had been taking this seriously a lot sooner.
You guys, I gotta